Hey, cheers, everybody. Welcome back. This is Nate, and this is Good Bets, Good Times podcast. Cheers. Appreciate everybody coming back and joining us once again. This is episode 9. We're rolling right along, man. This week we are diving into, oh man, this one's going to be fun. This is going to be fun. This is for all the sickos out there. This is the Group of 5 Playoff Contender preview. So unfortunately, I don't have the weeks or the time to do a conference preview for all 5 of the mid-major conferences. We're gonna talk about the one automatic qualifying bid for the college football playoff. Look at all the top contenders and what we think, maybe some bets that we might be eyeing up on these teams, and maybe throw in a few sleepers there as well. But pretty excited about this one. Pumped for all the shows, but especially breaking down the Group of 5. Last week we talked SEC, wrapped up our Power 4 previews, talked through playoff odds, conference championship odds, some bets we're eyeing up, and one we actually placed our first SEC bet of the year. That is Oklahoma over 6.5 wins. We got that locked down at -170, so it is a little pricey. I mean, I got this team at 7.1 wins based on all of my analysis and metrics, based on the market in general. I mean, the under is up to 165. Over, best odds I could find was -170. There are anything up from +1 or -190, -200s out there. I feel like that was still solid value. I probably wouldn't bet it any higher than -170, but really love the outlook of this Oklahoma Sooners team. I know we talked about it on the podcast last week, why we like Oklahoma, so go check that out if you haven't listened already. Also, we have the newsletter out where we'll be outlining all the bets we're making throughout the offseason, and then obviously throughout the season as well. So if you want to check that out, you can go to either the website, ntsports.win, or in all of our social links, the bios, ntsports.bio. That'll give you all of our links and how to subscribe to the newsletter. Also, we're on Substack. It's what's powering the newsletter. So if you want to get all of the bets and plays we're on, we also have some educational content in there, outlining what we talked about on the podcast. And next week we are diving back into the NFL. So we had a few early episodes on NFL preview, talked about some over-under bets, win totals that we're looking at. And next week we will start our conference previews, starting with the AFC next week. Pretty pumped to get back in the NFL. Training camp starting back up now. Football's in the air. We have a game in 10 days, Hall of Fame game, July 31st. So yeah, it's time. It's time to get back in the world of the National Football League. If you are listening to the podcast, I mentioned this is episode 9. Next week will be episode 10. Big milestone we're looking to hit. So we're pretty excited about that. And so yeah, if you do listen and you want to help us out, of course, go and rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. We're on pretty much all of them out there. I mentioned the newsletter. Feel free to subscribe to that. If you want some sports betting knowledge, drop straight to your inbox every week. And feel free to follow us on all the socials. We appreciate that too. Connect with us. Let's chat. Send us some feedback. Ask us some questions. Interact. We love that. And as I mentioned, all of our links are in our social bios, ntsports.bio, or you can go directly to our website, ntsports.win as well. So yeah, man, let's get into it. So what's going on? We always start off with a little preview or a little recap in the world of sports last week. Obviously, got baseball going on. Last week was the All-Star game. Home run derby. Didn't get a chance to get down on the home run derby in terms of betting. Checked out a little bit of it. My dude, O'Neal Cruz, crushing dingers. Cal Raleigh pulled that thing out in the end. And yeah, pretty exciting if you're into the home run derby. Outside of that, football news. A lot of football news going on leading up to training camp. Today, actually, Phillip Rivers, who I honestly didn't know he officially did not retire yet, but he's retiring as a Charger as of today. Signing a 1-year deal to retire with the Charger franchise. So good for him. Good for Phil. I thought he was already retired. Guess he's holding out hope. Maybe there's one more phone call will come in, get him back in the field. I know he's already coaching high school football. So, man, end of an era, though. Man, past 20 years, with your Brady's, Mannings, Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning. All those guys are gone. Joe Flacco's hanging on for dear life, but that's about it. That 2004 draft class will go down as one of the greats of all time, and I don't know where Phil Rivers stands on the Hall of Fame, but I gotta imagine he's pretty damn close. Didn't win a Super Bowl. Don't think he even won an MVP or really any major awards, but dude, the guy could sling a football, put up numbers, won a lot of games in San Diego. And then a bunch of contracts too. A bunch of contracts being signed. TJ Watt got paid, highest non-paid QB in league history with a $123 million deal. Well deserved, TJ. Well deserved. As a Steelers fan, love that. He's a guy at the Steelers for life, for sure. He's not going anywhere. He'll retire in the black and gold. And outside of that, a few training camps have already started, with the vast majority of the league starting today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Looks like the Chargers started last week, started a little bit early. Lions started a little bit early. Cowboys started today. And then, Tuesday the 22nd. And then a couple other teams following up on the 23rd. So we're in it, man. Football is officially back. We got teams in camp, at practice, prepping for the season. Doesn't get better than that, man. And I'm all for it. I cannot wait to be breaking down and analyzing training camp highlights and stressing over injuries, overanalyzing these teams, and gearing up for the start of the season. So here we go. College football has been an interesting week as well. And since we're actually talking Group of Five today, a couple news items of relevant news dropped today in the Group of Five. Tulane brings in Jake Retzlaff, transfer. Well, I don't know if you can call it a transfer. Technically, he left the program, but he's technically a walk-on now at Tulane. So big ad for Tulane. I know they had some questions around that quarterback room, and I gotta think that Retzlaff is going to be the starter there possibly, but we'll see. Just happened today, so we'll stay tuned there. Another one, Memphis. Memphis is trying to join the Big 12. They were actually offering money to pay their way into the Big 12, and they got denied, rejected. Big 12 said no thank you, which is very, very interesting. Well, Memphis is going to take all that FedEx no money and just look to dominate the AAC over the next few years until a conference accepts them. Hey, Pac-12 maybe, Pac-12 is always looking for teams. Could be an opportunity. We'll see. Got big things happening in Memphis. They got the cash to really build out that program and take that next step. So we'll see what happens there. And speaking of the AAC, rebranding. The AAC is no longer. They are now just the American Conference. Drop the athletic, just the American. Love it. Just simplified things. Went from the AAC to the AC. They got a pretty sick new mascot, this eagle named Soar, which I don't even know, do any other conferences have mascots? I don't know, but hey, the American has a mascot now. Man, that's about it. So here we go. Let's dive in here to a little Group of Five action. So what we're looking at here is, as I mentioned, not going to do a full conference preview of all 5 conferences. Maybe next year. Don't have time this year to break down all these as much as I would love to. Can't do it this year. So we're going to group all Group of 5 all into one podcast, and we're going to highlight the top 6 contenders for that Group of 5 automatic qualifying bid that goes to the highest ranked Group of 5 conference champion. Last year in the first 12-team playoff, it was Boise State. And speaking of Boise State, they are back on top once again. Their price right now ranges anywhere from, I think I saw plus 160, plus 190, might even be a plus 200 out there, but they're by far the biggest favorite at this point, and rightfully so. I mean, you look at this roster, this is the most complete Group of 5 team. This is their last year, I believe, in the Mountain West. Yeah, they will officially join the Pac-12 on July 1st of next year. Can Boise go out on top and win another Mountain West title here? They do have quarterback Maddox Matson returning. This is his junior year, second year leading this offense. They obviously lost Ashton Genty, Heisman finalist from last year, top 10 draft pick to the Las Vegas Raiders, but they still have a solid core. They have 14 starters on this team returning back from last year's team. And conference odds right now are heavy favorites to win the Mountain West at looks around minus 130, minus 132 to win that conference. And to me, that's, if you can find anything under minus 140, there's still value on Boise State if you think they're going to roll through the Mountain West. UNLV is right behind them, not really close behind them, but around plus 490. And there is some value I see based on my early projections. They should be around plus 300, about 25% chance to win the conference. So there actually is some value in UNLV to potentially upset Boise State. Outside of that, you have San Jose State, Fresno State. This is Boise's conference to lose at this point. On the offensive side of the ball, I mentioned Maddox Madsen returns. They'll bring back an experienced receiving core. They have, obviously they lost Genty, but they do have redshirt freshman Sire Gaines at the running back position, and they bring in Malik Sherrod, transfer from Fresno State. Defense shouldn't take a step back, should be about the same as last year, and then offensively should be improved. This was a 12-win team last year. Only loss coming second game of the year. 3-point loss at Oregon, which obviously vaulted them right in the forefront of the as the favorite of the group of five in 2024, and then they ran the table from there. Didn't really have too many close games. Beat UNLV at UNLV by 5. Did have a close one against Wyoming there, but outside of that, got UNLV again in the conference championship game. Beat them 21-7. And then put up a fight early on against Penn State, but ended up losing that game by 17 points. And this year, there are a couple tricky spots for UFC, to be honest. I mean, in the non-con, they do open up first game of the year at USF. So that's a tough spot for a Boise, Idaho team to travel down to Tampa, Florida to play a very solid USF team on the road. It's a lot to ask there. That could be a tricky spot just to open up the season. Then outside of that, they do go to Notre Dame in October, which we all kind of expect that one to be a loss. And then the rest of the conference schedule, they obviously have UNLV again. They do get them at home. Fresno State also at home. San Diego State, Colorado State, and then they finish up on the road at Utah State, which could be an interesting way to end the year. So, I mean, their win total sits at 9.5. It's heavily juiced over to minus 210 to the over. So, don't really think there's any value on the win total. A little bit of value to them to win the conference. And at plus 190, I mean, plus money with Boise State. I don't have super strong projections for the two make playoff bets, but if there was one of these favorites I would bet, it probably would be Boise State at plus money. Next up, we have Tulane, which is interesting. Before today, when I was preparing for this podcast, I actually was not in on Tulane. I just didn't feel good about all the turnover they had. Losing Dorian Mensah to Duke. It's really having a lot of questions at the QB position. And they brought in a few quarterbacks. They added Donovan Leary from Illinois. They brought in Caden Simonza down from Ball State. And in the spring, they also added Brendan Sullivan from Northwestern/Iowa. So they had 3 quarterbacks. I think Sullivan may have been the leader, maybe Simonza. I mean, I think there was going to be a QB battle. I don't think they really had officially had named a starter yet. And then today the news drops that ex-BYU quarterback Drake Retzlaff is joining the Green Wave. And I imagine he's the front runner for the starter at this point. And I think that does give a pretty significant boost to this Tulane team and their outlook. Already the second favorite to make the playoff from the group of 5. They are also the favorites to win the ACC prior to this move. And did think there was a little bit of value there. I have them at 30% chance to win, to plus 230 odds there. And if you can get anything, I mean, I see a 275 out there. Maybe I'll even get higher. I mean, we look at teams who, trying to think of what group of 5 can win, not only win their conference, but then make it actually be the top ranked team to make the playoff. And some of that's going to come down to obviously strength of schedule for the season. And I think Tulane has that. I think there are some tough non-conference games that they got to win. Western at home to start the year, That should be a winnable game. At South Alabama, winnable game. Not going to be an easy game, but a winnable game. They get Duke at home as well, which also it's going to be a tough one. They lost their quarterback, as I mentioned, Darian Mensah, to Duke, and now he is coming back to face the Green Wave this year, which should be super interesting. And then at Ole Miss, that's going to be obviously a very tough game. And then they start the conference schedule, which Tulsa, East Carolina, Army at home. Then they got back-to-backs off their bye week at UTSA and at Memphis, which are two of the teams that I'm going to talk about here in a second out of the AAC that we do like. FAU at home, Temple, and Charlotte. So I think with this schedule, I mean, they need to win, obviously, the AAC. They need to win a couple of tough conference road games, but then they also need to knock off Northwestern and I would say at least Duke. If they can finish the season with 10 wins, then I think this Green Wave team has a shot. And definitely they can do it. Outside of the Ole Miss game, they should be able to win every game on this schedule. Duke will be tough. I mentioned those 2 road games in conference will be tough, but we'll see. This news about Jake Retzlaff just dropped today, so it remains to be seen. We'll talk about this more in upcoming episodes about how our outlook on Tulane progresses, but as it stands right now, I'm going to be a little bit off Tulane, but we may make some moves here in the next couple weeks. Memphis is a team we talked about earlier in the podcast. They have a lot of momentum in this program. They're off of back-to-back double-digit win seasons. They won 10 games in 2023, won 11 games last year, had a shot for most of the year. I don't know if they ever would have passed Boise State to make the playoff, even if they wouldn't have lost that game later in the year against UTSA on the road at UTSA as 7-point favorite. And I think that cost them also a spot in the AAC championship game. And even at 12 wins, I don't know if that would have been enough to like I said, bounce over Boise State. And this year they bring in dual threat quarterback Brendan Lewis, transfer from Nevada. This Memphis offense the past couple of years has led the AAC in scoring. So head coach Ryan Silverfield enters his 6th year. His offenses have been outstanding. This team knows how to put up points. I don't think they may take a slight step back from last year's team, losing 4-year starter Seth Hennigan. But I do like the dynamic that Brendan Lewis brings to this team. He's a senior quarterback. He has the experience. And this team did have some turnover, only bring back 9 starters, but they did reload via the portal. And I mentioned they got a nice portal budget, a nice nil budget to bring these guys in. And this is a team that can make a playoff run with their schedule as well. They do have one bigger Power 4 non-con game against Arkansas. And if they win that, their conference schedule is not too bad. I mean, they do play Tulane at home. They play USF at home. They only have to go on the road to FAU, UAB, Rice, and East Carolina. And then Navy at the end of the year would be a tough one. But that is at home as well. So schedule sets up nice. They have a shot. They should be a double-digit win team again this year. And if they can get that win against Arkansas early in the year, beat an SEC opponent, they should be right there in the conversation coming into the season. Next up, we have about a three-way tie here, depending on where you look. We have 3 teams sitting at plus 1,200, and we'll talk about UNLV first. But another team it's definitely the theme in this era of college football with these group of 5 teams. A lot of turnover year over year. They're bringing in guys from the portal. They're losing guys to the portal. But this is a team that was a 11-win team last year. Their only losses came on in overtime against a very good Syracuse team from a year ago, and they lost twice to Boise State, including once in the conference championship game. Played them tough both times. They rebuilt once again via the portal. Not quite sure who's going to be the official starting quarterback on this team. They have the Michigan transfer, Alex Orji. They bring in Anthony Colandrea, who started 17 games for Virginia. They do have excellent running back, Jaden Jet Thomas is coming back for his junior season with Ashton Gentigun, might be the best back in the Mountain West. Do have some questions on the offensive line. They brought in some transfers on the O-line. But new coach Dan Mullen, former Mississippi State / Florida coach, spent some time at ESPN over the past couple of years, a little hiatus from coaching, but he is back, taking over from Barry Odom, who left for Purdue. And he hit the portal very hard, and he brought in some nice transfers, including a lot of talent from the Power Four at the skill position especially, and quite a few transfers on defense as well. So UNLV is going to be back. They're going to be a contender once again. I think out of all the teams in the Mountain West, they're the one team who could give Boise State some fits next year. They got decent non-conference schedule. Idaho State, Sam Houston on the road. Got UCLA at home, which is pretty interesting. That's a winnable Big Ten game, in my opinion. Travel on the road to play Miami of Ohio out of the MAC. And then they start the conference schedule at Wyoming, never easy. At Boise this year, we'll see a very tough game. Road games at Colorado State, end of the year at Nevada. Got Utah State sprinkled in there, Hawaii, New Mexico. So it's a clear path once again for UNLV to get to double-digit wins, back to 11-win mark. But it's tough to get a read on this team with all the turnover and transfers. I mean, 5 returning starters on this team from last year. Big questions at the quarterback position. So it remains to be seen. UNLV is not a team that I'm high on or I'm eyeing up, although according to my projections, there is some value on them to win the conference. If they can somehow upset Boise State, their win total's at 8.5 wins right now. Juices to the under and have them at 8.9 wins. So there's a little bit of value at a plus money over for UNLV if you're looking to go that route. Too many changes. This is as of right now, it's a stay away until we get more clarity on the quarterback position. But you do like Dan Mullen coming here, making his return to coaching, and I think he can do some big things out in Las Vegas over the next couple of years. And then also plus 1,200, James Madison. This is a team I love. They're a team that is due to get over the hump in the Sun Belt and win this conference. Last year was an interesting year. Started out 4-0 and early talks in the season that this could be a team that could contend for that playoff spot. But I kind of faced a little bit of adversity down the stretch after their 4-0 start. They beat North Carolina at North Carolina last year. They ended up losing their 5th game at ULM and then went to the end of the season and lost their last 2 at App State and then a double overtime loss to Marshall. So struggled down the stretch off of an 11-win season in 2023. But they do bring back their quarterback, Alonzo Barrett. It's a junior quarterback. Played very well last year. Very solid running back group led by George Pettaway, junior running back. Brought him some experienced receivers. Offensive line should be better as well than last year's team. And this is Coach Bob Chesney's 2nd season leading the Dukes. And given this Sun Belt schedule, I will say they have a couple non-con games that could be, or a couple that are very interesting actually. One, Louisville on the road. It's a Friday night game at Louisville. That could be a game to eye up if they go in and beat another ACC team on the road early in the year. That should vault them right up towards the top, pretty close to Boise State. And then they followed up with off the bye week at Liberty, which is another contender that didn't quite make the cut for the top 6 today, but they're a team that should come out and win the Conference USA next year. So that's another tough game on the road. And they get into the conference schedule. Got to go to Georgia State, at Texas State, at Marshall. They lost against Marshall last year and finished the year at Coastal. And they do have another non-con late in the year against Washington State, who's pseudo-independent this year until the reformation of the Pac-12 next year. So path for double-digit wins this year for James Madison. Path to the Sun Belt Championship game this year. And if they can knock off Louisville and Liberty earlier in the year, I think they got Washington State at home, which I think that should be a win. Very down Washington State team this year. So given the strength of schedule, I mean, I think they do need to win probably 11 games, maybe slip up once. The Dukes are a deep, experienced team, and they should be fun to watch this year. And the team I love at plus 1,200 out of the AAC is UTSA, the Roadrunners. And Jeff Traylor enters his 6th season leading this team. This is their 3rd year in the Sun Belt. They had a couple Conference USA championships back in 21, 22. 9-win season in 23, 7 wins last year. They had the legend Frank Harris leading that team from 2019 to 2023, and they won a lot of games in Conference USA. And yeah, this team's going to be back this year. The offense is going to be excellent. They do return junior quarterback Owen McCown, son of legendary NFL quarterback Josh McCown. It's his 2nd season as a starter. They got a very experienced O-line, deep skill group, receiver, running back, and this has they have the opportunity to be one of the best offenses in the AAC this year. Do have some questions on defense with only 2 returning starters on that side of the ball. So it remains to be seen exactly how they're going to get stops and how this defense is going to perform. Given the schedule, strength of schedule in the non-con, they do have at Texas A&M to kick off the year. So I think that's a good test for UTSA to see where they stand. If they can be competitive in that game, not saying they're going to go into Texas A&M and win that game. That's asking a lot. But if they can be competitive early in the year, give them a little confidence. The rest of the schedule sets up very nicely for this team to at least make it to the Sun Belt title game. They do have another trip to Colorado State in the non-con. And then outside of that, Temple, Rice, at North Texas. They do get Tulane at home. They have to travel down to Tampa to face USF. At Charlotte, East Carolina, and then finish the year at Army. This is a team outside of A&M. This is a team that could win the vast majority of their games. 10 win season is very possible. And if they can pull out in a Sun Belt championship, then they should be right in the thick of things come the end of the year. They should be right up there with Tulane and Memphis competing for this conference. But do like the Roadrunners. They are sitting at about plus 500 to win the Sun Belt Conference, which my odds are around 10%, so maybe around plus 900-ish. So not really any value yet on UTSA to win the conference. I do have them at right at 7.5 wins. So right on the number there at 7.5. And it is juiced up to the over minus 130. So no value to fire on a bet for me on their win total. I do think this is an 8-9 win team. So we'll see if we make any adjustments to the power ratings here and see if we can justify a bet on the over 7.5. But I do think, given this schedule, there's definitely 9-10 wins, at least 8 wins for this team. So UTSA is going to be one that we're going to be eyeing up and talking a little bit more about over the next month leading up to the season. And then last but not least, we can't do a group of 5 preview and not talk about a little MACtion, right? So Toledo is the class of the MAC this year. This is a veteran team that, given the schedule, sets up nicely to win 10 games and possibly, if they can run the table and win the MAC at 10-11 wins, they could be right in the thick of things too. So they do return senior quarterback Tucker Gleason. It's a veteran Toledo team, deep at the skill group, veteran offensive line. Offense was a little mediocre last year. Had a couple tough losses, games they shouldn't have lost. Lost at 10-point favorites at Buffalo. They were favored against Bowling Green at home. They lost that game. Favored against Ohio at home, lost that game. 8-point favorites at Akron, lost in overtime. So this team definitely underachieved last year, but given the experience in this veteran team, I do like them to bounce back from 8 wins. And they're the odds-on favorite to win the MAC at 255, which I do have value on here. This is probably one we're going to want to fire on. 8.5 is their line, their win total line. I have them 8.6 wins. So given the price, choose up at minus 115 to the over. Can't justify a bet on the win total. But I think if there's one bet to make, it's Toledo to win this conference. But the tough thing here is they're going to have to run the table. I mean, they have one of the weakest, if not the weakest, strength of schedule in the entire country. Non-con is at Kentucky, one of the weaker SEC schools. And they did go down and beat Mississippi State last year. Rushed Mississippi State as 10-point dogs. Beat them 41-17. So it's more than possible. I believe they're 10-point dogs in this game, 9.5-point dogs. More than possible for them to go down and beat Kentucky. And if they do that, this team very well, given the way this schedule sets up, this team very well could win this conference and win every game that they play this year. Another team that plays the in limbo, pseudo-independent Washington State at Washington State. So it's going to be tough traveling up there in the middle of the season. The other non-conference is Morgan State and Western Kentucky. And then pretty mediocre MAC schedule. They got Akron and Kent State, Bowling Green, a tough one against New Illinois. They got to go to Miami of Ohio, which won't be an easy game, as we know. And then Ball State and Central Michigan. So they play pretty much everyone in the bottom of the MAC next year. They don't play Ohio, they don't play Buffalo. They do play Miami and Northern, Western and Central in the middle of the conference, but this schedule sets up very nice for Toledo to make a run here. Jason Candle is in his 10th year as the coach. They bring back 13 starters, including, as I mentioned, senior quarterback Tucker Gleason. They had a very deep running back room. They got former, which, to be honest, I didn't know Chip Trainum was actually still in school. He had any eligibility left, but senior Chip Trainum, that name ring any bells? Arizona State, played for the Buckeyes for a year, played at Kentucky. Back at Toledo, leading this backfield. Their O-line's veteran. They returned most of their starters from last year. Very good secondary. And yeah, I'm liking Toledo. If a school comes out of the MAC, it's got to be Toledo. And that'll be an exciting day if a MAC school can make a run and make the college football playoff. Outside of that, one conference we didn't touch on, just on the outside looking in here, was Liberty out of the Conference USA. They're the one team that has a sort of a outside shot to potentially make a run and squeak into the college football playoff. But to be honest, this is another team in Liberty that has a very, very poor strength of schedule this year. I mean, I think even if they do go 12-0, I don't see a path for this team to make the college football playoff. Listen to the strength of schedule. Listen to this non-con. They have Maine, Jacksonville State, I don't even know. Bowling Green, James Madison probably hit the Conference USA schedule. Old Dominion, UTEP, New Mexico State. Newcomers, welcome to the FBS. Delaware and Missouri State, played them back-to-back. FIU, La Tech, which could be a tough one at La Tech, and then Kennesaw State to end the year. I mean, this team could go undefeated and still miss out on the play. I don't know how they could be the top ranked unless a Boise or one of these other teams lose multiple games, or maybe 3 games, sitting outside the top 25, and Liberty sneaks in. They're just crushing teams, but who knows? So that's why we didn't bring them up. We didn't talk about them too much in this pod. But Conference USA is a fairly weak conference, and when you don't play any significant non-con games, there's really no way to judge how good this team really is, even if they do win 11, 12 games. So just wanted to mention Conference USA. Don't want to leave them out, but yeah, folks, that wraps it up. Do you want to touch on one more? Speaking of mid-majors, we did get down on one more over and about. We already talked about Oklahoma. We also got down on the Rice Owls. Liking the Rice Owls this year. They bring in a new coach. Scott Abel came from Davidson. This guy's a winner no matter where he's been. FCS Davidson completely transformed that program. He runs a really cool offense, this unique triple option scheme, which, you have Army and Navy already in this conference running this. But bringing it to Rice, I think, is excellent. Brilliant idea. Their win total is only at 3.5. And consensus was around -155, and we got -140 on this. We do project the Owls at 4.6 wins. They don't return very many players. Only 7 starters from last year's team. They did win 4 games last year, but this is a completely different team. They have some key players back on defense. And given this is a brand new offense, we know these option type offenses are tough to prepare for. And given Scott Abel's track record everywhere he's been, very confident that this Rice Owls team can get to 4 wins next season. So really, really liking this play. And given the schedule, I do like this team to be able to pull off 4 wins here. So at Louisiana, be a tough one to start the year. Houston, they get Houston at home, which is interesting. I'm not sure they can beat Houston. Then they got Prairie View, so we'll give them that one. Charlotte's a very winnable game. At Navy, it'd be tough. I don't know if they can pull that one out. FAU at home, winnable game. UTSA, at UTSA, probably not. It's another loss. Coming off the bye, they got UConn. That's at home, though. They can beat UConn. They do go to Memphis. No, they got Memphis at home, actually, on a Friday night, which could be interesting. I don't know. Could be a little upset there. UAB at home, winnable game. North Texas at home, winnable game. And then they finish the year at USF. So I think if you look at this, I think there's 1, 2, 3, definitely 4 games that I would put in the winnable column. And then some other games that can they get one upset? If they beat Prairie View, Charlotte, UAB, and North Texas, and then can they knock somebody off? Can they steal a win early in the year at Louisiana? Can they beat an FAU? Can they upset UTSA and Navy, USF, Connecticut? I mean, I like them to win one of those games and get to that 4 mark, if not 5. Looking in the Owls, over 3.5 wins at -140, and I think we're sitting at 4 win total bets so far. And as always, you can follow us on Action Network. As soon as we make a bet, we put it in an Action app, put some rationale behind it in the notes so you can check it out there. Also, every Thursday, we'll send out the newsletter with any bets we've made from the previous week. So that's it, folks. Once again, thank you for listening. If If you enjoy the show, we appreciate it. Give us a rating and review on whatever podcast platform that you do listen to. Thank you for the support. Go ahead and follow us on any of the socials, interact, connect, send us some DMs, shoot me an email. Really love what we're doing here. I really enjoy doing this podcast, and I'm really, really confident we can build out this sports betting community of folks who are just like us, who want to have a good time. Are sports fans at heart, but we still believe that you can be a fan, you can enjoy sports betting, but still bet smart, but still understand the game, have a sharp mindset, and win a lot more than we lose. So that being said, we'll be back next week with our first NFL conference preview. We'll be jumping into the AFC, looking at some early bets we're liking there, and follow up with the NFC after that. So that's it. Till next week. Cheers, everybody.